Everybody, and welcome to another live cast episode of Five Guys on Live. I am Zachary Kirk, and it's an honor and a pleasure and a privilege that you're taking some time to join us, whether you're with us live or you're catching up, watching us on either YouTube or Facebook, or actually listening to us in your car. Those are great ways to engage with our Five Guys on Live, where this week we actually do have a fifth guy. As many of you may know, if you're watching consistently with us, Ryan, our fifth member, is out on hiatus, and so we're going to fill that fifth seat each week with a guest. And this week's guest is the one and the only is Darius. Darius, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm great. How about you, Zach?
I'm good. Welcome. And so usually what we do to start off every single live cast is each guy kind of says what how their week is going, what's kind of going on. Darius, what I'm going to do is allow you to ask a question of the five guys, and we're going to each answer to kick off. So you can ask the group any question of your choice as our guest.
Okay.
CJ.
What? You just put me on the spot. What do you enjoy the most and the least about this group?
Very good question. So, Darius, tell us who you want to go first. Give us the order. Call out our names, and we'll go from there.
All right, Zach, let's start with you.
You know what? What a great one to start with, because I needed some think time to lie, so I got to be honest. You know what I'll start with the dislike first. What I dislike about the group is when some members of the group, maybe they are not as well read on the topics as I would like them to be. Because to me, if we're going to give information out publicly, we need to make sure that the information is accurate and that we know it. So I don't like that sometimes. But what I like the most is that you have a variety of different personality types from a variety of different perspectives coming together to talk about issues that impact the Black community, and not only the Black community, but our world in general. And that's what I like, because there is no other vehicle out there that does that. And so I love it. And I also have to say that one kind of, in addition to that, is the community that we've built around the five guys. We have some amazing, faithful viewers who are our friends, who are our followers, maybe even our fans, and they watch us and they hold us accountable. They ask us good questions, they engage with us, and they really help push the conversation forward.
Awesome. Let's go with Rodney.
What I like the fact that we are all five well-diverse men in our own different fields. I like the fact that we have Black men actually talking about issues that is going on, because a lot of people are like, what are Black folks talking about? So it's good we have a platform to provide them with that. What I dislike about the group the most, sometimes I wish some others would stop talking and let others talk, but hey, this is part of the show.
Okay, thank you for sharing, Rodney. Let's go on to CJ.
So what I like least about the Five Guys on Live is that some people just will not let things go and just keep bringing it up over and over and over and over again. And that the fact that sometimes some people like to overtalk people and not let people get that point across. But what I like most about this group is that, we have five different men from all different walks of life that are very intelligent, that know different things in life, and are able to share their experiences and their thoughts and views with the world on topics that we talk about and topics that come to us from our viewers and fans. So we genuinely have a connection with each other, and we have learned to, like each other through working more with each other. And I just enjoy the dynamic. I enjoy the fact that we can argue and have a healthy banter back and forth, and it's all out of love.
I want to say that was like 8 different things, but I won't say that.
But you did. All right, come on, Vince Ashton.
And I did. And so what?
Here we go. And the night has begun. I feel like my fellow co-panelists have said everything that I would say. I definitely enjoy the dynamic. I really enjoy the fan interaction. Just having them participate, and we actually read and engage their opinions and their thoughts, and we build our arguments and our rebuttals based off of their thoughts. So I think that's a very innovative thing. You don't really see in a lot of shows such as this. All
4 of these guys, 5 of these guys, well, 4, including Ryan, I'll say that are phenomenal, talented, educated. I really enjoy the topics, and I also get to learn as well. You know, it's like Zach, he's our like political guru, so he be spitting out mad knowledge, and I feel like I learn so much every time he speaks. In regards to dislikes, I would have to agree with CJ, just the over talking, and it'll probably change when the pandemic is over and we get to be next to each other. We can sort of finesse that a little better, but virtually it sounds like blah 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 blah, but we work it
out. My fellow Sag, as Zach would say, that was more than one thing too, but
Well, thank you guys for indulging me.
Well, we thank you for taking some time, Darius, to join us and be with us tonight on Monday for Five Guys on Live. And so, really, with that being said, I'm also going to give our guests the privilege of selecting the first topic. What is the first topic that you would like to talk about tonight to start us off? Topic number 1.
Well, Zach, I didn't want to be one of those people that you don't like because they didn't read through the information. So I have all of my notes in order. So let's go ahead and start with Bloomberg.
I think that's a phenomenal place to start. And this topic belongs to the one and the only Vince Ashton. Vince, cue us up. Tell us all about what Michael Bloomberg did. Really, it was late in the week before last, and it's played out continuously throughout the course of this week. Vince, tell us all about former New York Mayor Michael Bloomberg.
Right. All right. So Michael Bloomberg, in many people's eyes, he did something phenomenal. In other people's eyes, he did something not so great. So, of course, we know he's a billionaire. And prior to this election, getting the wheels kicked off, he had already pledged to donate, millions and millions and millions of dollars to Biden's campaign. So this was an avenue that he decided to do that. So he basically paid off 32,000 felons in the state of Florida their monetary obligations in terms of fines and stuff like that. Prior to the year 2018, I feel like it was 2018, there was a law that said that if you have any fine, even if you did do your jail time or what have you, you still could not vote. But in 2018, the state of Florida actually threw that over. They felt like that wasn't right. But the backstory behind that is right after that, Matt Gaetz, I want to say in the recent couple of weeks, he is the representative down there in Florida. He pushed a new amendment or a new situation down there to actually cap what the state of Florida ruled. And so as soon as he tried to take away the felons' rights again, Mike Bloomberg came right around the corner 2-3 days later, said, "Oh, that's the hardball you playing? I'm about to pay everybody fines." You get what I'm saying? So a lot of course, the Democrats are happy about that because Florida is a battleground state. But the Republicans, Matt Gaetz, Governor DeSantis, they're at an uproar. The AG of the Attorney General of the state of Florida actually opened an investigation recently around Michael Bloomberg because they feel like that is not fraud, bribery. That's election bribery or what have you, especially because they feel like they are trying to pinpoint Black and Latino voters, of course, that are prone to vote Democrat, so on and so forth. So, I just felt like I feel like that's a very, very juicy story. So the question that I raised to you guys is, do you feel like this will hurt or help the Democrats? Because in prior episodes, we know that a lot of the Latino community down in Florida, some of them are conservative. Cuban and Venezuelan descent, so they tend to vote Republican. So will this work in the Democrats' favor? And just the whole story in its totality. What you think?
Well, I want to say this, that it mind boggles me the fact that most Hispanic descent vote Republican in Florida. So I want to know, what is the big deal about Michael Bloomberg giving people the right to vote? That is not something that should be capped on. That is a necessity that is true to America. So I don't understand why you cannot vote till you got a felony. I feel like if we could vote on how your life is going to be, you should have a vote on to say how that's going to go. Now with the district attorney and all this stuff trying to say it's bribery, hell, Trump do the shit every day. So I feel like let the ball play where it play. If you got the money to play your money and put your money where your mouth is. I respect the fact that Michael Bloomberg is doing this. So I don't care who them people vote for. If you vote for Trump, I'm not for you. But I really respect the fact that he's giving these people a platform to vote again, and that's just a basic human right in America.
Right.
So what you were gonna say, CJ? You can take
No,
it.
go ahead. No, I was just gonna go a second. Like, I think it's phenomenal that he did this. I'm actually glad that Vince brought this topic up because I didn't know nothing about it, honestly. So the fact that he sat here and paid a lot of these people, what was it, like 32,000 people? Is that correct? Yeah, 32,000.
Yeah, so it's over $20 billion.
Yeah, over 20 billion. That's amazing. So now we have more people that can vote, and hopefully they'll vote for Biden. And I think it's helpful. I wish that more states would do that. And again, it is sad that people can't vote because they may be incarcerated. So I hope people follow suit with him and, allow other people to, pay off fines in other states so people can vote, honestly.
One thing that I wanted to say about this issue, I think that I've been called to task by my friends because I was very early a supporter, of Michael Bloomberg as a possible Democratic nominee for president. And it was the fact that he had the philanthropic means to really help move America forward. And I was really reassured when Michael Bloomberg made the commitment to still support the eventual Democratic nominee, who we now know is Joe Biden. I have watched since he made that commitment to the American people to see, what he was actually going to do. And I don't think that he could have made a better decision or better use of his funds to support the efforts of voter integrity and fight voter suppression, period. Every American citizen should have the right to vote. You lose the right to vote when you break the law because that's a penalty of breaking the law. I don't think it's right. I think that that's also based in a racist system that's meant to oppress people, but it is the way it is. What I don't like is that this has been set up in law. People have found a way to work and make that still find a way. They passed a law saying that they would give felons the right to vote with this new version of a poll tax. Good people like Michael Bloomberg finds a way to help these people out. And now the Republicans there are still fighting against it. They're putting every day there's a brand new update in this case. New laws that they're trying to pass, new things they're trying to do to further suppress the ability of felons to vote. And I think that if anything, that Republicans are hurting themselves. The bottom line is this: eventually they're going to fail. They can do all that they want to do to attempt to force a voter suppression effort, but ultimately it's not going to last. It's not going, no matter what they do, there is a way within the law to stop them. And all they're going to do is anger people. What's shocking though would be if people are liberated and their bills are paid, these poll tax fines are paid, and they still want to vote Republican because they're ignorant, misinformed, or racist. That concerns me. That concerns me.
I took a look at the sentencing project, and I was looking at some of the numbers. So by the numbers, in the 2016 election, there were 6.1 million people who could not vote due to having prior felonies. And the very foundation of this country was that taxation without representation was tyranny. And that's the very reason that America separated from British Parliament and started the country. And so it's mind-boggling that we would allow that many citizens to still have to pay taxes after they have done their time and after they have done everything that needed to be done in order for them to make good on whatever mistakes they made in the past. I think it's ridiculous to deny them the right to vote. So by the numbers also in 2016, Trump secured 4.6 million popular votes in Florida, and Hillary Clinton was less than 100,000 votes behind him in Florida. And so to think that there are 1.4 million people who would be able to vote after the Amendment 4 passed in 2018 is a painstakingly clear point that this has been used to keep people from voting for this very reason. And so with this expansion, I'm not even so much worried about people voting for Trump as I am people not voting. And so the fact that they have this right, I think that it's a great opportunity for them to go and express their right to vote. And specifically for me, I have a cousin in Florida who will benefit from Amendment 4. And after he did his time, he came out clean as a whistle, started his own business. And a lot of times, felons, people with felonies, they struggle to find jobs and they struggle to reacclimate themselves into society. And so I think that it's great that he thought enough of them to make this contribution towards making sure that everyone is guaranteed their right to vote.
And another thing I definitely wanted to put out there is just how foolish the Republicans of the state of Florida look right now. Because for me, it's like, if you don't recognize that this is mad voter suppression to the fact of you rather not take 32,000 felons, like their debts being paid off, all that money is going back to the state. So that's helping the state of Florida, but you rather suppress their vote. If that is not a blinking light, red flare, SOS, Morse code out there for people to wake up, voter suppression is real, and it happens in all capacities. I think a lot, Zach, you hit it right on the nail. I think a lot of people, when you think of voter suppression, it's like, well, you know, the technology isn't updated at the polls, or slow poll workers, or everything is focused around the polls and what happened on the poll date. But there's so many different facets around the voter suppression topic, and I think that this is a great reason for people to just really recognize, like, oh wow, you know, you have a whole nother group of people that have been tremendously affected that, you know, unfortunately in our minds go to the wayside in terms of voting, if you will. So I thought this was just a great thing to bring awareness as well, you know.
Vince,
what it really comes down to is that,
hold on, Zay, let me say this real quick. It bothers me that we are here talking about voter suppression. However, we have a lot of people who don't even vote that can. Do you understand how crazy that sounds? That people is wanting to vote because they did something very stupid or foolish way back in the day, selling drugs or doing something crazy. They took the right away from them. But we have people sitting on their ass right now, literally, and don't care about nothing. And this
voter apathy is real.
That's what voter suppression is. That's what voter suppression.
That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying it's not right. Look here, Zach. I'm talking. Let me talk. You
interrupted me first, but I'm going to let you talk.
We talk at the same time. You mute your mic, please. Thank you. Like I was saying, it's really funny how we have voter suppression, which is real. I'm not saying that's not real. However, we have a lot of people who don't even vote. So I really hope that this election really wake up the American people and let the people know that you need to get out and vote. It's a lot of people who cannot vote because of stupid things they did in the past. So I agree with everyone with voter suppression. However, if you can vote, please vote, because they have a lot of people out there against you who don't want you to vote. So please wake up, America, and do the right thing on November the 3rd.
I'm not going to make my point. My point will not be made. It will be suppressed. But Rodney, do you not think you just repeated the same thing twice? Because you literally just said that, and then you told me to mute myself to say the same thing again.
So what were you about to say then? Were you about to elaborate
you
on?
Never know. You will never know.
Well, if I said it twice, I said it twice. Get your butt out and vote. Write that down.
And so it's a very strong possibility that voting in this upcoming election could help determine who will be our next Supreme Court justice. As we discussed on last week, the loss of Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg really did happen at a pivotal time in the course of American politics. And as anticipated, President Trump and the Republican Party wasted no time in naming her successor. We have nominated to the Supreme Court now by President Donald J. Trump this past weekend is Judge Amy Coney Barrett from Indiana, the home state of Mike Pence. She is a mother of 7, including 2 children adopted from Haiti, and is a staunch conservative who interned or law clerked under former Supreme Court Justice Antonin Scalia. She is a member of a charismatic Roman Catholic organization or subsidiary known as the People of Praise. There's a lot of things here to unpack and to dig in, but I definitely want to bring this monumentous nomination to the Supreme Court, a female justice by another Republican president, to know, gentlemen, what are your thoughts on the nomination of Judge Amy Coney Barrett to the Supreme Court of the United States?
Well, I definitely think that it's a game changer. I feel like it definitely works in favor of conservatives and the Republican Party. On the Democratic side, the more liberal side, we hear the argument of she will basically move us backwards and undo the work that Justice Ruth did for the country, the equality of women, the equality of just all minority groups. I actually watched her speech that she did from the Rose Garden, and for me, just on the receiving end, and just hearing some of her quotes, like I appreciated the fact that she honored and saw Justice Ruth as who she was and how monumental she was, and just her accolades and her going to Notre Dame and how she actually had a bipartisan endorsement from the university. And even people that were more on the liberal side were like, we may not agree with, her standings, but just on paper, she is qualified. Though she has only been a judge for 3 years, a lot of people sort of side-eye that because a lot of Supreme Court justices tend to have a longer time in being, judges before getting that type of nomination and fulfilling that position. So that's a red flag for a lot of people. For me, my personal red flag was she is a stickler around keeping the integrity of the original Constitution. And if you feel like America looks the same way as it did when we landed here on Plymouth Rock versus 2020, then that's a problem. Like if you are still trying to carry out plans and policies and operate in the same mentality as we did way back when, pre-slavery, during slavery, post-slavery, like that is a problem right there. And I feel like that's just a problem for the GOP. I mean, you know what GOP stands for, the grand or the great old party. So they deem themselves in being, well, we're sticking to we're the originators or what have you. But if you fail to evolve and if you fail to really showcase the representation and the true fabric of who America is, then I feel like in the long run, as you pointed out many times, Zach, that it's going to hurt you. And I even have to go back to the DNC, what me and Rodney agree on. We appreciated that the DNC was a true reflection of America. And the GOP, the Republican Party, this justice, regardless of the fabric of her family and her mentality, does not reflect the true fabric of America. So that is definitely problematic and concerning.
One thing, Vince, I think you make a great point, but one thing that you said I definitely wanted to just kind of add a little bit of clarity around. You have to understand, Notre Dame is going to, no matter what, want to advocate for one of their graduates and professors to be on the Supreme Court. It's only going to benefit Notre Dame for the remainder of its tenure as an institution and bolster its academic rankings and academic opportunities. So that's only going to help Notre Dame. So, of course, the faculty, the president, the people there are going to come out in support of her, no matter what. I think the bottom line, I am not opposed to the nomination of Amy Coney Barrett. That's how I made a statement, I think a post on Facebook last week. That's how politics work. In 2016, we campaigned for Hillary Clinton all around America, saying that it's very likely that Donald Trump would get 3 Supreme Court justices and he would have the opportunity to, number one, repeal the Affordable Health Care Act, as he promised. He would have the opportunity to also make abortion illegal in the United States and a number of other things that he claimed he wanted to do. And if he had the chance to nominate 3 Supreme Court justices, that was likely to happen. So Americans knew this was a possibility. It was campaigned and it didn't work. The American people, or rather the American electorate, I can't say the people because Hillary Clinton won by 3 million votes, popular votes, but the American electorate selected Donald Trump and he is doing what he was elected to do. And I can't blame him for his nomination. I think that she's the best nominee for the Republican Party. I just think that it is unfortunate for the majority of Americans. And it makes me wonder, should the Democrats use their nuclear option if Joe Biden is to win and if they gain control of the Senate and actually appoint additional Supreme Court justices to balance the continuum of power? Darius, I see you shaking your head. What are your thoughts?
I think that, like you said, she is the best candidate for whatever their platform may be. She calls abortion always immoral. She's criticized Obamacare for forcing insurance companies to provide contraceptive care for people, which will in turn prevent people from having abortions if they have access to contraception. She doesn't believe that immigrants should be able to become citizens if it is likely that they will need government assistance through Medicare or through food stamps. And she believes that all felons, whether or not they're dangerous, I think was the verbiage, should be able to own guns. But more so than all of that, I just find it utterly disgusting that hold on one second. I find it utterly disgusting that Trump would have confirmation conversations floating around before Justice Ginsburg was even on her cooling board. And I think that for him to show up at her line in state and to be booed, it was very satisfying for me. So more so than anything, I just think that it's another representation of him having a disdain for women, a lack of couth, and an inability to show decency. And so that's more so where I'm thinking.
I want to say this. People I know that we all from the Five Guys on Live has stressed the importance of voting. And when you don't vote, you give opportunities like this that a Republican come in and take away basic human rights. And I feel like you should have the choice to choose whatever you want to do with your life, whether it's abortion, whether it's voting, whether it's whatever, even the education. We can lose so much with this lady being nominated to the Supreme Court, you guys. And like Zach said last week, we're going to have to hurt to understand why we need to vote. And if you are affected by this from voting, I really feel like you should if you don't do your basic right. Because most of Americans, I'm not going to put an ethnicity on it, live by this rule. I don't care until it affects me directly. So I hope that whatever decision that she makes, it affects you directly because you will know the importance of voting, y'all. This is not just for the president. The president can change all. He could be gone 50 years from now. And if these people live 50 years plus Trump nomination, they will be running your life until they pass away. Please realize, you guys, that you might be Republican, might whatever. Just vote the right way. And like I said before, I don't have a problem with Republicans. I have a problem with Trump presidency. Trump is not for the people. Like Vince said, he did not showcase any type of American unity. That little thing he did with people getting ownership to America, citizenship to America, was just for stupid stuff. Wake up and make sure that you do your due diligence and go vote on November 3rd, you guys. According to that girl, for that lady, I'm sorry, that lady, the fact that she is a woman. I'm not worried about Obamacare. That's important. But the fact that you are a woman and knowing that women, you are okay with taking the voice from women. The person before you made the decision where you can even have a credit card in your name. I didn't even know that about the one who passed, the judge who passed away. That bothers me that you are even chosen and speaking on this woman's legacy. It's a slap in her face. It's a slap to women. For women, you should be appalled and ashamed of yourself, period. And I hope that you guys vote. Please get out and vote the right way. I cannot stress that enough. It is utterly important that you vote the right way, you guys.
I just want to jump back in for 1 second, Rodney. You made a good point. You said that we would have to hurt in order for people to realize the importance and the severity of voting. And Stacey Abrams actually tweeted last week that 337,652 Georgians who did not vote in 2016 have registered and requested ballots for this upcoming election. And so I think that we have already hurt enough. And I think that people realize that we have been hurting because of people's deciding not to go to the polls. And we can kick the ball back and forth about the different reasons that people don't vote. Because voter apathy, voter suppression are real. But I think that people are truly realizing that we do have a power with our vote and people are joining in to make sure that their voice is heard at the polls.
What I wanted to kind of just add in very briefly is that when you talk about Republicans, it's not Republicans and Democrats, Rodney. To be honest of it, it's 100%. Abortion is a Democrat-Republican issue. Republicans as a whole want to end abortion. Democrats as a whole want to protect a woman's right to choose. And when you have either party in power, that is typically going to be their focus. Now, early in the conversation, a great point was made by Glenn, where Glenn said that the Catholic Church, and I'll pull it up really quickly, he identified the support that's being rallied around Judge Amy Coney Barrett. That is true. What's interesting to me is that Joseph R. Biden is also a lifelong devout member of the Roman Catholic faith. He has always been, his entire family is. So that's very interesting to me that the Catholic community is coming out for Amy Coney Barrett, not as much so for Joe Biden. I think they actually are coming out. It's just not as known. Remember, it was a huge controversy for John F. Kennedy to be our president as our first Catholic president. And I'm sure it will still be the same to have Joe Biden as our second Roman Catholic president. I think the media puts a spin on it, and it depends on your news source where they are emphasizing the support of the Catholic community. I personally, again, do believe that most Catholics are going to support Joe Biden. And I think that I've seen that in poll data. Now, Dante said, I don't blame some people that think their vote doesn't count. The Democrats pick Biden, not the people, just like the Democrats pick Kamala Harris as a VP. Darius, don't be shaking your head because I don't agree with this is wrong. Let me explain why I say it's wrong. Dante, look, the people elected the nominee. Okay, the majority of voters. We went out and we had what's called a primary. If you wanted to be president, Dante Wash, you could have ran and we could have voted for you, not me, but somebody in the primary, and you could have been selected as a Democratic nominee for president. That is what Joseph R. Biden did. He won the majority of voters from the Democratic Party to be our nominee. The people most certainly did choose him. In addition to that, when we selected him, we knew that we were investing in him the power to select his vice presidential candidate. And that's where he chose Kamala Harris, a well-qualified, highly capable senator from California. So that's not true when you say the people don't make the choice. The people did make the choice. We voted, we chose, and we're happy, the majority of Democrats, with our candidate. But I am glad that you came back to say that voting was important, my brother.
I was not shaking my head in agreement. I was shaking my head that I was following along the comment.
No, I just saw the head shake. So I just had to quickly jump in on that because this is the thing. People will make those kind of comments and people will see those kind of comments and they'll go down the tangent of the votes don't count. Your vote always counts. Your vote always matters. The only time your vote doesn't matter is when you don't cast it or your president forces the people to throw it out and steals an election, which has never happened. And I pray it doesn't happen in 2020. And then Bella said elections are important, but so are the primary. Absolutely. Every election matters. I cast my vote on the very first day of early voting to replace John Lewis just for 2 months. Whoever wins this will only be there for 2 months. I voted for Keisha Waits. She may only be for 2 months, but I still voted because, again, every vote counts. Every election matters. And again, Dante, I'm not going to go back and forth with you about it. There are some people that wanted Bernie. Some people wanted Biden. More people voted for Biden. That's why he's a nominee. It's just that simple. It's not like the Democratic Party stole an election from Bernie Sanders. That didn't happen. You can simply Google the number of votes cast for Biden and the number of votes cast for Sanders, and you will get the data that you need to prove yourself wrong. With that being said, it goes right now from Dante Wash, yes, Vince.
So I did want to just, if we could, just go down briefly the rabbit hole of what the Democrats have in their power. Because in a recent interview with one of the potential senators for the state of Arizona, he mentioned that in the event that he is elected, then that whole judge nomination could actually shift. So is this a wild card that the Democrats have in their pocket that could play out come November or what? Because I've been hearing that off and on, just depending on how the senators come around, this upcoming November.
You're on mute.
Thank you, Bella. Welcome to the show. I'm glad you're able to join us and add your commentary. We welcome it. That's what the show is all about. It's commentary, and that's what you get. Every one of us has a different personality, and we each bring that unique personality to the experience. To answer your question, Vince, I think it's a really good question. I'm glad you asked it because you see this. The truth of the matter is this. The Democrats have absolutely no power as of today to do anything at all to stop the confirmation of Judge Amy Coney Barrett. All they could possibly do is convince Republican friends to vote no or to hold off the vote. That's it. Republican Senate Leader Mitch McConnell said he's going to bring this to a vote on October 12th so that the judge could be seated in time for arguments against the Affordable Care Act on, I think, November 9th. There's nothing Democrats can do except beg Republicans to vote no because Republicans have the majority of vote in the Senate. Now, here's the thing. Up until 2018, Republicans were no party was able to force a confirmation. There had to be a supermajority. I want to say it was a 2/3 or a 3/3 majority of them had to vote for confirmation. That meant you would have had to have gained some votes from the Democrats to confirm a nominee. And that is what stopped Merrick Garland from being seated by President Obama. But in 2018, Republicans changed it from a supermajority to a simple majority. So all it takes is 51 votes in order to confirm any Supreme Court justice for a lifetime appointment to the Supreme Court. So the Democrats, there's nothing they can do. Now, in the event that the Democrats gain control of the Senate in November, there's some things they can do after she's appointed, like name additional Supreme Court justices. There have been several times in American history, you've had as few as 5 Supreme Court justices in the 1800s, and you've had as many as 12 Supreme Court justices during the Civil War. But this has typically been very unpopular with the American people. We have had 9 Supreme Court justices since President Grant, and it hasn't wavered. President Franklin Delano Roosevelt did attempt to add Supreme Court justices, but the American people were very unhappy with that, and that could not go forward. And he backed away from it. So it is possible that they're going to increase, the Senate has the authority to then increase the number of justices from 9 to 13 to give them a majority. But to be honest with you, I don't think the American people will be happy with that. It just depends. But that's a big contention. That means that you have to have, the Democrats must pick up 4 to 5 seats in this upcoming election year, when, I just hate to say it, but that's highly unlikely. Colorado is in play. So having a Colorado senator get seated, that's Democrat will help. Maine is in play. Arizona's in play. But to be honest with you, those are the only 3 that I think are going to possibly turn blue. In addition to that, Doug Jones will lose his Senate seat in Alabama to the former coach of Auburn. So that only gives them 2. The Republicans will still have the majority, and the Democrats will have to, unfortunately, deal with, what they have to continue to build and continue to change the hearts and minds of people in this country. With that being shared, going forward, Rodney, we heard from Dante Wash. Now it's time to hear from Rodney Wash with your topic of the week, where you talk about what happened with the best friend of the one and only Oprah Winfrey and House Speaker Nancy Pelosi.
Yes, and also I want to break the surprise. Dante will be my guest for next week, so he can have a voice on the panel. Yay! But I find this very interesting, the fact that Gayle said something about Nancy Pelosi talking about Trump supporters. Now, I am all here for freedom of speech. I'm not here to take away anyone's freedom of speech, even Trump's. He might say some dumbass stuff, but he still has this freedom of speech to say that. Now, with the type of person that Donald Trump is, I find it very ironic that you are upset with Nancy Pelosi for calling Trump people a certain name, but Trump people have showed hatred to everyone who is not rich or white. Period. I think it's very funny. I think it's very rude. And for you to be a black person, I'm sorry. I don't understand black Republicans who are voting for Trump. This is how I feel. I'm going to call like I call it. But I find it very funny that you are so offended by what Nancy Pelosi said, but you are not offended, did not show any record about the hateful stuff that Trump said. And for you doing that, I am not standing by you no more, Gayle King. You already messed up when you did that stuff with God, what's that LA Laker name? Kobe Bryant. So you're just counted.
Okay.
You are canceled, Gayle King, and I do not support you. You are not a good person. Even your own person who was touching on women, you didn't speak out on that. So you are not to be trusted. And I'm just gonna call it like it is. And Zach, I know you love Oprah, but if that's Oprah friend, in the words of what you said, she canceled too. So if Oprah gonna stand by this and not say anything, you are guilty by party association. Because I don't understand how Gayle can get up and say all this stuff about what Nancy Pelosi said and not say anything about what Trump said. I feel like she's not for the black people. She is just like Kanye West, and I'm done speaking about her. You are canceled.
Rodney, what does Oprah have to do with this conversation? It's not Oprah's job to come out and condemn Gayle every time Gayle opens her mouth.
Right.
Gayle
I was going to say
has a job and a career like Oprah has a job and a career. Oprah has not.
I was going to say the same thing. Oprah can't control what she says. They're just friends. I was going to say the same thing exactly, actually. But are you shocked that she said anything like this, Rodney? Really, honestly?
What, you freezing up? Repeat your question.
No, I'm not free. I said, are you even shocked that Gayle would make a comment? That's you freezing up. I said, are you even shocked that Gayle even made a comment?
I went to be in front of you, really froze up. Like I went throwing shade. You really did.
It's your connection, sweetie. But anyways, like I said, are you surprised that you made comments like this? Especially after
I
what
would
you said about Brian. Are you
I
even
would say this, it bothers me.
I mean,
Again,
yeah,
that you are
all of us, but after she made the comments about the Kobe Bryant interview, like, I mean, are you surprised that she would say like this coming out her mouth?
I'm just saying, thank you, Nathaniel. She showed the hell did, so you are guilty by association. But I just, for
she
me,
on Oprah.
I feel like this. I really feel like this, CJ. I don't mind you calling out people, but make sure you call out everyone. That's the issue that I have with some people in this panel too. We like to show favoritism. We love favoritism, but we don't call out when people are wrong. And unfortunately, she's wrong. Period. I don't care. If I live in a world like this, like I said before, that we posted on our IG page. I'm all for fairness, and I'm all for people that's being people. When you do something wrong, Obama could do something wrong. Guess what? I will call Obama out. I don't care if he was the best president ever. If you did something wrong, you did something wrong. And I'm okay with Gayle calling people out, but don't show favoritism. Because Trump has said some horrendous things that can never be taken back to me. Period. So this is how I feel.
Well, here's the thing. So what happened? So I watched the interview earlier. I hadn't heard about it. But Nancy Pelosi had an interview with Gayle King, and Nancy Pelosi characterized Trump's camp as henchmen. And Gayle said that it was egregious for her to say that Trump supporters or Trump's crew were henchmen. And so I took the time to look up two words in the dictionary. I took the time to look up the word henchman. I took up the time to figure out what egregious. So egregious is especially and conspicuously bad. And a henchman is a trusted follower, a political follower whose support is for personal advantage or a member of a gang. And so is it especially bad to be called henchman? Sure. But who are we talking about? We're talking about people who support a man who has engaged in nepotism by naming his daughter and his son-in-law special advisors, giving them power in the White House. He has been acquitted after being impeached for pressuring Ukraine to dig into Joe Biden and try to meddle with the 2020 election. He has imposed a Muslim travel ban. He has refused to release his tax returns for years, only for him to release them recently. We find out that he has not paid taxes in 10 of the 15 years that he provided documentation for. And the 1 year that he did provide documentation was the year he was elected president for a whopping $750. So at the end of the day, is it especially bad to be characterized as henchmen for supporting someone like this? Sure. But guess what else it is? It's especially true.
This should have been your topic, Darius.
You know what, Darius? I was worried about Zach picking you, but I am so happy that you are here.
Fret not. Fret not.
And so, you know, I think it's some great. I think you make a lot of great points. Bella agrees. Bella made another good point earlier about cancel culture, and I think that's something, Bella. I know you're just joining the live cast, but that's something that we've talked about. Some of us are in favor of cancel culture, some of us are not. I'm 100% supporter of cancel culture. I believe that if you do foolish things, you get the foolish reward that comes with foolish things that you do. The only thing, as a Black person in this country, I don't have a lot of positional power. That's not what we have as Black people in this country. But what we do have is spending power. And we have the power to control and manipulate culture because we create most of it. And because of that, that's why it's powerful for us to cancel. If you are going to do something like stand in opposition to what's in our best interest, when you want to say that Black lives doesn't matter, when you want to categorize Black Lives Matter as a terrorist organization, you absolutely deserve to be canceled. If you are a white supremacist and you uphold white supremacy, you too deserve to be canceled. I agree with Darius 110%. I agree with Rodney 110% about Gayle King. Now, I'm not saying we should cancel Gayle King. I'm not for canceling Gayle King, but I think that Gayle King was wrong because what Speaker Pelosi said was accurate. If it was inaccurate, then I would have a problem with Speaker Pelosi. But when it comes down to canceling, I have canceled H&M because they called me a monkey. I have canceled Starbucks because they arrested 2 of my brothers without just and due cause. I have canceled Wendy's because their largest franchisee owner has donated $400,000 to Donald Trump. And I will continue to cancel until the people that run these organizations fight against systemic racism and recognize that my money has value. That's why cancel culture matters and why we must uphold it as a Black community.
Period.
Right. So cancel. You know, you canceled Nick Cannon. You have a record on the show. Is he still canceled?
Nick Cannon is canceled. Kevin Hart is canceled. Doja Cat is canceled, and they will not be brought back by me. In addition, Kanye West is canceled. Chrisette Michele is canceled. The Mary is canceled. There will be no recourse with me and my dollar.
Well, hold up now, because it's funny that you mentioned who you just say, Nick Cannon, because I wasn't trying to make this personal, but CJ, he made it personal when he said the panel. He brought the panel into how we sort of, go about and approach these conversations. So if you really want to go there, Rodney, let's rewind to the intent. Hold on, let's rewind to the Antonio Brown conversation when you had this immense amount of empathy and you wasn't trying to cancel that man for Jesus to come back at all. So I just want to make sure we calling a thing and that we remain consistent in our energy that we bring it. I'm gonna move forward into this conversation. Hold on, I'm gonna move forward to this thing.
What I said was, I make the choice. I make the choice on who I cancel. You make the choice on who you cancel. Zachary made the choice to cancel Nick Cannon and Kevin Hart. He also made the choice to say that what Antonio Brown did was not warranting cancellation in my eyes. It warranted my sure? That's a choice that I make and have the right to make as an individual. I hope that you make similar choices for you in your life based on your morality.
That wasn't regarded. See that what I'm talking about? That wasn't even regarded to you, Zach. I was talking about Rodney. Now I'm gonna go back to the vocal point of this conversation, Gayle King, as from my vantage point, right? Because Zach likes to think everything is coming towards him and ain't nobody even talking about him. All right, so we're gonna keep forward. So at the end of the day, for me, in regards to Gayle King, I don't even give her a view. I don't give her a like. I don't give her a mention. I don't give her anything of my energy prior to the Kobe or post the Kobe situation or what have you. Now, I had to really come upon myself and tap into the immense maturity that I have to watch the interview that she did with Nancy Pelosi, as Darius did. So for me, I understand what Gayle King was trying to do. I feel like she was trying to approach it in the media. Me being a journalist, I'm in the media. We're being accused of fake news and that we swing always to the Democratic side. So let me just be unbiased in calling her out. I understand how she sort of approached that. However, for me, in Nancy Pelosi's mind frame, the American citizens don't have a slight clue to all the stuff that Nancy Pelosi knows to make Nancy feel the way that she feels about calling people a henchman. We don't know how much she's blocked, and we see how much Trump has carried out. So I feel like if she releases that word from her spirit it's coming from a place. Nancy Pelosi is too educated and too smart to be just finding words in the stratosphere and letting them come out her mouth just for hearsay. You get what I'm saying? So I also feel like the whole moment wasn't like this big clash at all. But anyway,
really wasn't.
I mean, that's what it was. Yeah, go ahead.
It really was. And to Rodney's point earlier about just being fair across the board, what she said was it was as bad as some of the things that do you not feel that you saying that they're henchmen is as bad or as inflammatory as some of the things that Trump has said? And to that point, Nancy did clear it up like, no, Gayle, it's not the same because this stuff is true, among other things.
And you know what, Vince, I want to agree with what you just said. Nancy Pelosi knows things that we do not know. This is keep it real. Like they call spade a spade. In the Senate, she works first with the president. They crazy, like his crazy ass staff. So I'm pretty sure she had when she say words, her words have more meaning than what I say. Because I'm just here watching news like everyone else. She sits in the house and knows what's going on. Now, when it comes to Antonio Brown, I'm going to say this again, like I said on the previous show. I'm all here for people rewriting their wrongs. So if he did that back in the past, but this man truly and utterly cares about his city, he cares about his constituents, and I'm here for it. And that's all I gotta say about that. And it can even be, you know what? And I say some record. If Trump come back for many moons from now, and rewrite his wrongs and try to fix stuff, I will say, Trump, you did a good deed. Even though Trump is the most horrible person to me. But I truly feel like if you do something wrong and you try to come back and fix and rewrite your wrongs, who am I to judge you? We are all supposed to be Christians according to what I know from everyone. God forgives people. So can we not forgive this good man for trying to fix stuff that's really broken in Atlanta?
Zach says no.
Eventually.
We can fix what he did, but we can't fix what Donald Trump did. Until Donald Trump can bring back the 200,000 people who have died from COVID-19 because of his refusal to be honest with the American people, he can never garner my forgiveness. He can never garner my forgiveness. Now, that's right. What is that? Trash. And that's what Donald Trump belongs, the trash. And his apology and his attempt to rebrand himself can also go in the trash. Where he put all the money he stole from the American government, the trash. That's right, Nathaniel. And I'm gonna tell you somebody else who needs to be put in the trash. The next part is this man right here, your brother, Dante Wash, Daniel Cameron.
Don't do that.
The Attorney General of
we not gonna do that. Well, you know what? Dante did say something wrong earlier, and I agree with you, Zach. That's why I shut my mouth and didn't say nothing. But you would not say that my brother is brother, which is my brother, blood brother is brother with Daniel, with
well, he made
whoever that cameraman is. And see, you don't even talk enough. Like, be quiet. Sit there and look at.
I don't talk on things I don't know, so
I'm gonna say this. If you don't read the article, then you just sit there and be quiet.
When you have a guest talking about your own topic, I think you need to
Daniel Cameron is not our brother. Now, if Dante want to say some stuff that's Dante's mouth, he has the right to. But what you will not do, Zachary Kirk, is call Cameron a brother of mine. Because that is not our brother. Period.
Now, I don't know if you understood the reference, Rodney. The point is
that's my brother.
Daniel Cameron is a black Republican. Let me know when I may speak.
You may speak now. I'm going to mute.
The reference that perhaps you didn't understand was that Daniel Cameron is a black Republican, and Dante being a black Republican makes them
Dante is not a black Republican. So you are misinformed. You are giving false news. Dante is not a black Republican. Do not put that out there.
Rodney, let me know when I may speak again, please.
Well, you know what? You are not going to trump this situation. You might run this live like Trump, but when you're wrong, I'm going to call you out. Welcome to Nancy Pelosi. Dante is not a Republican, okay?
Well, right,
I do run this live, and as a result, Rodney has been muted to illustrate and prove the point that I do run the live. Daniel Cameron.
I said what I said.
Daniel Cameron is the Attorney General of Kentucky, who on last week gave out the ruling in the Breonna Taylor case. In that ruling, he was a special prosecutor. I don't know if everyone understands what that means, but he's actually the person who tried the case, he himself, with the grand jury. That means that what the grand jury saw to bring charges or not was determined by Attorney General Daniel Cameron. He announced on last week that there will be no murder charges for the 3 police officers that broke into the home of Breonna Taylor and shot her with a no-knock warrant. There would only be 1 charge filed against 1 officer who no longer works in that police department, and that would be for like a reckless endangerment or an endangerment type felony, which means that it was only because the neighbors in the area were put at risk. And so that is what was lifted. And so, and again, I will, out of kindness to Dante, not because of Rodney, but out of kindness, Dante, I said you were a Republican based on things you've said in previous episodes. You've made comments that indicated that you align with the Republican Party. If I am misinformed, then I do apologize for the miscategorization. But I'm only doing it based on what you said in the comments provided here. And I have receipts, but I won't pull them. But you can go back and look at any given episode from the beginning where you've made comments, but your brother says you're not a Republican and he knows you better than I ever will. So with that being stated, I want to open the floor up, gentlemen, to all of you regarding what your thoughts are on what Attorney General Cameron found and America's response to it.
So I would just say,
you go, Ben.
Okay, just real quick, because I have more to add, but I feel like Melanie Fiona hit it on the nail. She did a tweet as soon as the verdict was released, and she said, "Today we found out that white walls matter more than black women."
You know what, Vince, and I truly agree. Regardless of all the foolishness that was just said earlier, this is something that really, really hurt my heart. It's sad that the police officer only got accounted for the bullets that he missed that shot and killed Breonna Taylor. I'm not gonna cry because I can just only imagine what their family is going through. I don't give a. Let me tell you something. You get somebody $1 billion. If somebody mama passed away, they might can buy stuff tomorrow that will make them happy, but your mama's still gone. And I don't know how Cameron. I don't care if you're a black man that you sit in an office where you supposed to fix and correct stuff, and you choose to turn a blind eye. And it really makes me ponder on how justice is supposed to be blind, but justice is not blind. We need to throw that away. It's not blind in America. It's really not. We have an issue where people show favoritism and people do what they want to do. And what's about to put money in your pocket, you're going to side with who you want to side with. And I just have to say that. And for the other 2 cops who not even get nothing, that's a slap to her family. And you guys, and I hate to say this, it's utterly disrespectful. And if you don't vote, this is why your vote matters. Because you know what? You could have voted him not to be what office he holds. But because you don't vote, you sit your ass at home and then you're downtown riding and tearing up shit. Now, I'm out here for how you want to protest. Look, I'm not here to tell you what to do. But when you down here tearing up stuff, carry your ass to the polls. That's gonna be tearing up shit and coming back home and like everything is okay. That bothers me. Like, we love to say we angry. We love to say, oh, we upset. We gonna tear up H&M. We gonna tear up Target. We gonna do this. But when it's time to vote, you know where to be found, sis or bro. That's the issue for me. So yes, I cried. I'm not gonna lie. A lot of people cried. But take your frustration to the poll. I cannot say that enough. We might clown and joke on here, 5 Guys on Live. I love everyone on this cast. And you know, it's all fun and game. But when I say this is utterly disrespectful, that Cameron did that, it's utterly disrespectful. That the bullets that did not hit this woman is what he got charged for. I'm done talking because I'm getting emotional.
So when the verdict was released, I don't know why, but I immediately thought of the Pledge of Allegiance, and the last three words of it says, with liberty and justice for all. Liberty and justice for all. Justice for all. Those are the last three words. And as soon as I thought of that, Charlemagne the God put out an Instagram post, and he was like, the system isn't broken, it just was never built for us. And so when I connect those two things together that I was thinking about, I was like, so the justice and the all worked in favor for the officers, worked in favor for the bullets. It didn't work in favor for the innocent victim. But at the end of the day, if that is something that we are rooted in, justice for all, who is the all? Who is the justice going towards? And so I truly feel like in this next election, and when we elect and appoint newer leaders, that a lot of things that our country was built upon need to be revamped, need to be erased, need to be amended, need to be restructured, whatever, reformed, defunded, whatever terminology you want to put on it. Something needs to happen. I definitely agree with Rodney in regards to the importance of taking going to the polls, because the Attorney General of Kentucky, this is an elected position. A lot of people don't know that. When I've recently talked to people about this situation, I immediately bring up the George Floyd situation. A lot of people do not know that now Senator of Minnesota Amy Klobuchar was DA in Minnesota over the precinct, over the cop, and got bad reports of the cop that killed George Floyd. My apologies. And she didn't do anything. And she had the influence and power to do something, and she did not take him out of the police force. This was 8 years ago. So should have Amy Klobuchar, who y'all elected in Minnesota, did her job. The potential is George Floyd might be alive. But because we sit at home and we feel like if it's not a presidential election, we're not going to vote, or whatever the case is. I don't know where people's minds are, but I feel like in the past year or two, or not even past year or two, since this pandemic has hit, people have to recognize, and I feel like a lot of people have recognized, like, voting each cycle matters. Researching and knowing who you're voting for is most importantly what matters too as well. Going deep into the Breonna Taylor case, another thing that really troubled me was the body cam footage that came out, I want to say today or yesterday or what have you, which really goes against what the Attorney General reported in his reports and what he presented to the grand jury and that whole court case. So I feel like this is going to be an ongoing, just an ongoing battle, an ongoing conversation. And I truly hope that she receives the justice that she deserves.
So I made a post also last week. I made a video actually, because the reality is this happened exactly as the law, and I think that several people have referenced it. R. Wayne Woodson said this is how the law works. When you look at someone like Amy Coney Barrett and the other Supreme Court justices who are considered to be textualists, who believe in interpreting the Constitution as it was written by the founding fathers, you are listening to people who are supporting a system that didn't include Black and brown people because we were slaves. We didn't have citizenship rights. So anytime you hear someone say, I'm going to interpret the law as it was written, you're looking at people who are looking at the law that's meant to oppress and systemically hold back people of color. Daniel Cameron did exactly what he was expected to do in this case. And that's why no matter how much you march, no matter how much you call to defund the police, none of it's going to matter if you have people in positions of power that are going to uphold systemic systems of oppression like Attorney General Daniel Cameron. It doesn't matter your race. It doesn't matter if you're Black, you can be, if you're white, you could be the oppressor, or if you're Black, you could be the oppressor. There were Black people that sold other Black people into slavery. There were Black people that maintained order in the fields and on plantations over other Black people. There were Black people that guided the ships. There are Black people that took people and reported them for trying to escape slavery. We have always had people like Daniel Cameron in the ranks of the community, and we will always have people like that in the ranks of the community. This is what I'm afraid of. If Donald J. Trump wins re-election, which I don't think he will, I'm just as 78% certain he won't win re-election as the 538 polls say he won't win re-election. But if he were to win re-election, I firmly believe that Clarence Thomas, will step down from the Supreme Court and Daniel Cameron will be appointed to the Supreme Court. I believe this was the bargaining chip that they used to put this man in place to be the next Trump appointee for the Supreme Court of the United States. And that's heartbreaking considering the fact that Clarence Thomas replaced the first Black man to sit on the Supreme Court, Thurgood Marshall. Legend. And I believe the Republican Party has a united front to never allow another authentic Black man who cares about the community to have that seat again. And it's unfortunate.
Zach, real quick. So, and I heard Sonny say this on The View. Maybe you know the research or have done any research behind it. This was like one of his first court cases, like in regards to like criminal prosecution, right? Like he didn't even really have experience, let alone this high profile, extremely high profile social justice court case. So I really want to ask.
Not only is it not his background, but it's actually extremely uncommon for any elected attorney general in history to join and come into a criminal case like this. This is highly unlikely. It's unorthodox, and it really was, I personally feel, legally unethical for him to do. But he did it, and it's within the guidelines of the law. The bottom line is this. And I just want to once again reiterate, we can march all day because we're angry and we're hurt and we're upset. And it's good to do so because that brings attention to the issues. But marching and protesting isn't going to do anything if we don't get new leaders. And not only must we get new leaders, but we must hold them accountable. On this live cast, I am a staunch supporter of Joseph Biden and Kamala Harris to be the next ticket to lead our nation. But at no point am I saying I am not going to hold them to a higher level of accountability than I've ever held any politician to in my life, because this time it matters more. They will only have 4 years to undo the heartbreaking damage that Donald Trump has leveraged and levied against democracy. And I want to see them do that. And I've given my money, I've given my time, and I've given my voice to get them elected. Now I'm going to hold them accountable. That's what we must do. And there are laws like the no-knock warrant law that must be changed. There are laws protecting police officers that must come off the books. We have to change the laws that uphold and support these systems. And if we don't change those laws, then nothing will ever change in the country, no matter how much we march or how much we demand we defund police. Is there anyone else on this topic before we go to something a little bit more lighthearted and fairy?
I will just jump in for a second. It's very easy to, as we touched on a little earlier, it's very easy to criticize people who don't vote. But as I've said before, and I will say again, voter apathy is real. And so in addition to us being upset with people who don't vote, we also need to lend our ear to figure out why it is that people do not vote. And there are a lot of reasons that people don't vote. It's our job not to just criticize them or bash them or curse at them, but also to hear what it is. Why is it that you don't vote? And then figure out ways to actually, get involved and ensure that people are voting. And for me, my grandmother was probably in her early 20s when the Voting Rights Act was passed. And she got off her ass and she went around her community and ensured that all of the people in our community were registered to vote and that they took part in the actual, the right that they had just been granted. And so we also have a responsibility not only to just say that it's important for you to go vote, but also to hear those people out and ensure that they have the means to vote, that they have the knowledge required to vote correctly, and that they understand that in order for us to be a part of the solution, we have to actually get up and be a part of the solution.
I'm going to give you both CJ and Rodney the mic. I just want to tell Bella, my name is Zachary Kirk, Dr. Zachary Kirk. You can Google me to find out all the qualifications that you need to know about me. It's all public knowledge. Google me. It's a phenomenal search. Take it away, CJ.
Okay, Dr. Wendy, put some respect on her name.
Doctor. No, I was just going to.
That wasn't meant like Dr. Wendy. It was me just simply pointing out when someone asks, like basically, like, I'm not stupid. Like you're asking, well, what gives you the authority to give insight into these issues. Number one, the authority is invested in me by the virtue of one, the accounts that we create and set up that we own, by two, the technology that we also own to stream this opportunity, and by the viewers who choose to watch it. So that gives us the authority to talk about these issues. But when you want to ask about education, again, do the research. You can Google me, darling, and you will see everything you need to know about the educational background, my achievements and accomplishments, and you can compare yourself to it.
Let them know, Zach. Throw the horn on that ass.
But you know what, Zach? This is the time I am proud of you, because what I'm not going to do, I'm not going to entertain that question, baby.
Yeah, I definitely not.
No, you're watching, and we're thankful for you watching, but don't come here asking about credentials. Because
yeah,
guess what?
He knows his stuff.
And we have a voice to talk about it.
Yeah, exactly knows his stuff. Trust me. So, like you said, Google. But no, I was going to what Darius said, that, you know, a lot of people are intimidated, or people don't like to vote because they feel like their vote doesn't matter. And, you know, maybe we can do things within our community to, like, you know, host some kind of seminar or something where people can learn about voting and how important their vote matters and what it will do for people in their community and people in their family that might be affected if they don't vote. So I was just agreeing with what Darius said.
Darius, I want to say that.
And for me,
and correct me.
Go ahead, Rob.
I'm sorry, Vince. But when I said about the rioters and marching, I'm talking about people that riot and march and don't even go vote. So I feel like you can take your ass out there to march and tear up stuff, but you can't take your butt to the poll. Yes, Rodney, I'm talking directly.
Rodney, but to interject on that, a lot of people that even rioted and looting, they don't even know what they're doing it for. They're just doing it to join the masses. Like, a lot of people are just out there just to be within the mission.
And again, let's say that they are.
Let's say doing it because they really want to, but then some people are just out there just to be a part of the crowd. And then
let's say that they are.
I don't have sympathy for that. Again,
if
you do all this stuff, then you need to carry your butt to the polls and vote.
I agree with you 100%.
Get your booty to the poll. Watch it.
I agree with you.
I love it. So if you're going to do all that stuff, make sure you bring your butt to the polls.
Rodney, I think that we all agree that voting is important. I don't think there's a single person sitting here who does not agree that voting is important. It is the single most important thing that we can do in order to affect change in our nation. However, let's just say that people are just out rioting and looting because that's what everyone is doing. If that's what's bringing attention to the cause, then that's what's bringing attention to the cause. Coupled with us being in the pandemic and people not being able to sit back and just act like nothing is happening, this is a starting point. And so it is easy for us to be aggressive and further discourage people from voting when we demonize them for not practicing that right. What I was suggesting is that we be understanding to the fact that people do not vote for a plethora of reasons, and then intentionally figure out how to bridge the gap between people not voting and people actually getting up to go and vote. A lot of the reason why people have been out rioting, looting, protesting, and so forth and so on is a lot more visible because of social media and because of everything that's going on. And so we have to capitalize off of this situation in order to make sure that these people go out and actually vote.
No, and I agree with you. And a lot of people are not politically inclined, and I'm one of those people. Honestly, Zachary and this panel, they definitely teach me more about what's going on, you know, with the presidential election and just things in general. So I think that's another way that people could be more informed, is to learn more about what's going on and why it's so important to vote. And again, how if it may not, it does affect you, and it can also affect your family members and people that you love in your community.
And let's also think about the fact. I'm sorry, just one more point.
CJ, real quick, I love the fact that you said that, CJ, because I feel like avenues like this are essential to educating people. Like I said earlier, I get educated from you all. I definitely get educated from Zach, and I feel like education is key. Whenever I tell somebody to go vote, I also follow up with know your vote. KNOW. A lot of times we walk into these polls and we have like 9 people on the little box, and we like, well, I saw her billboard, I saw this sign outside my house, I think she sent me a letter in the mail yesterday, and we just checking off who sounds most familiar. Just as much as we research our cars, our houses, where we're going to vacation to, what color we want to paint our walls. That time we put into that, we have to spend, if not more time, in educating ourselves on who is on these ballots. It is so essential. And I feel like right now, this year, 2020, there is no reason where people can sit in a place and say, well, this does not affect me, so I don't have to vote. This does not affect me, so I don't have to speak out. This does not affect me. Everything that has happened, especially to our community, has affected us. Whether you live in Minnesota, whether you live in Kentucky, it has affected many people in a personal way. So we have to get out of selfishness.
Yes.
Right? We got to get out of selfishness, and we have to do the work in educating ourselves so we can vote more precisely and accurately and have more confidence in who we are electing into these positions, specifically in this Breonna Taylor case.
And to that point, in Georgia, I just want to plug the My Voter page really quickly. So to that point, in Georgia, you don't have to go around and figure out, you don't have to go around and piece it together. If you want to know who's going to be on your specific ballot, you just go to mvp.sos.georgia.gov, and you can actually view a sample ballot, Google the people, and see what it is that they are about. And if you don't remember that website, just go ahead and Google My Voter page, Georgia. I'm not sure what the what's comparable to that in other states, but I'm sure that if Georgia, with all of their shenanigans, has something in place like this, then most other states will have something in place like this as well.
Yes, and I just want to say this. I'm not saying that you told me not to vote. Let me just put on record. I did not say that you said that. However, if you're going to loot, again, I'm speaking to people who cause destruction. People march peacefully, but they need to vote too. But if you causing destruction, if you doing all this crazy stuff, I don't understand how you have the audacity to go in there and take anything out somebody's store, or anything, and your butt don't vote. So no, I don't have sympathy for you. No, I do not. I would never have sympathy for a person who go out there and tear up stuff and don't go vote afterwards. If that's the case, you just doing that just because you do that. You a thief. And I'm gonna call you a thief. You a thief, and you like to destroy stuff. So if you're gonna be looting and doing all this rioting and stuff, carry your booty to the poll. I wish we could play the clip, Vince. I love that clip. I really wish we could, because them girls was like, get your booty to the But also, let me say this too for the record for Bella. Bella, when this show came about with these 5 intelligent, wonderful, educated, beautiful black melanin men, I would not surround myself with anyone I did not have any respect for. So the fact that all of us sit on this panel, that means that we all are qualified. And I know you say it mean like that, but you know what? Words can be misplaced. But I just want to make sure that was on my heart to say that I respect every guy on this panel for what they bring to the 5 Guys Online. And I just had to say that.
And I respect every guy when they read the articles and they know their news stories. So with that being said, we now go into the CJ, it's your turn. This is now your it's your story, CJ.
Well, before you go on with the story, Rodney, while you're over there laughing, we had our own special guest told your own topic better than you did. So why don't you check up on your topic before you post it? But go ahead.
That's an opinion, and you know what I said? What I said.
And he knew more than what you knew. So,
who said that? Who said that?
Who said that?
He said that. It's all in the comments, but nobody said that. You're right. You know what? People agree with me. People agree with Darius.
Was anyone else not listening to what Rodney was saying about his topic?
We agree with CJ. But CJ, I love you. I thank you. We love you.
Like I said, if you have
baby,
my topic, then have a special guest
for me. Because guess what? When I open this mouth, I know what I'm talking about. And I might say politics words, but goddamn it, people gonna listen to what I gotta say. And I'm gonna shut my mic and talk what the show is about. But don't ever come for me, CJ. I love you. But baby, ain't nobody worried about you in these comments. You are important.
I love
But
you.
baby, nobody's
Let me tell you
checking
something.
for you.
Let me tell you that I love you, and I love the fact that your internet is 5 minutes behind.
Yeah, nice. You win. Wow.
So I take full responsibility for that. It was an inside joke. CJ, I give you my commitment that I'm going to let go. I'm letting it go. I will not bring it up again.
It's funny. I love it. No, I love it. It's funny. It's fun shade. I'm all about fun shade. But again, like I said, when we have special guests, giving topics better than what the person that's on this show and they don't know their topic about, why their internet is delaying too, while they're trying to give their topic. But
Calm down, CJ. Calm down, CJ.
CJ, you know what? You're not gonna Cynthia Bailey me. You might be scared of Zach, but guess what? I speak up for myself. And I'm gonna say this again, like I said earlier, I respect all of the guys who are part of Five Guys.
Is the internet working now?
But if people take a poll about who like who more, I promise you, baby, I will win. But thank you for being a part.
Listen, I'm just happy to be here.
I said what I said.
Make sure. I want to make sure I do my due diligence.
We love to have you here, Darius, and we would love to have you
I
back.
just want to be back. That's all. I just want to be back. Rodney, I hope that we can be friends.
Oh,
don't let CJ get you hyped up now.
Oh, well,
yeah, we definitely
more than you did, but that's okay.
I have no quarrels with you. You are, like I said, I'm happy that Zach chose you. I enjoyed you tonight. You're actually doing more than what CJ is doing. But
that's
you know
fine.
what?
That's fine.
Live.
Again, you know what? Like I said, and I'll say it again, I don't talk about things I don't know. Okay.
Now watch me speak about CJ's topic. Watch me speak about CJ's topic, Rodney.
So there you go. It'll be a balance. And so CJ, this is a topic that you brought. It's always good to do a really, it's really good. Dante, you will. You will. It's always good to lighten the load. We talk about some heavy topics, and sometimes we don't do the good news and talk about the good things happening. And CJ, we can always count on you to give us the good, lighthearted news. Tell us all about this brand new decision from Disney.
So even though Zachary said, "Why did I choose this?" So I'm gonna call him out now because he actually said this wasn't good news and he really didn't care about it before the show started. So, but I think it's something great. So Yara Shahidi, she has been now announced as the new first Black Tinkerbell in the new Peter Pan movie coming up. If you people that are not familiar with her, she was known as a childhood commercial star for ads for Ralph Lauren and Gap and Disney and McDonald's, and she is also known for her role on Blackish, which spinned off into Grownish. So I think this is something amazing. She's young, she's 20 years old, and she's still in school for Harvard. She's still studying at school at Harvard University, and I think this is a big win for the African American community. Although Zach thought it was not important. And I think it's great for us to see that Black women are making big monumental moves.
I can't believe it. This is what I want to know, CJ. I mean, because you're right. I'm not. See, I'm a lot of things, but I'm not a liar. We did, for everyone watching, have before we broadcast, we talk a little bit about our topics, and I did everything that CJ just said about this topic is 100% true. I absolutely said all of it. But CJ, tell the people why I said it. Why did I say these things?
I honestly forgot why you said it. I think you just said you didn't care about it. To be honest, I don't want to misquote you, but I think you just said you didn't care. But I only brought it up because you just said, "Oh, let's talk about something good," when in reality it wasn't good for you because you didn't care.
CJ, it is good news for the culture, and
why isn't that good for the Black culture, for women? She's young, she's talented, and this is a win.
Even Bella agrees with you.
So why? Well, this is also the same girl that questioned you about your education background. So thank you, Bella. I appreciate it. But yeah, I think it's a big win for women. And again, she's not even 25. She's not even 21 years old, and she's making something big like this. I think she's beautiful. She's talented, and she's in school, like I said, at Harvard, studying I think African sociology or something like that.
I love Yara Shahidi. I have always been a fan of her.
Okay.
My saying this is I don't care about this and how it's not important.
I know exactly. Hold on, I know exactly what you said. You said, "Who the hell is Tinkerbell? She's in the movie for that long." And I said, "Actually, that's not true because she's actually Peter Pan's like right hand man." So I don't understand how you think she's only in the movie for that long. So maybe you might want to rewatch Peter Pan or whatever. You know.
Guess what? Let me give a full confession. Guess who's never seen Peter Pan and who never will see Peter Pan?
Yeah.
Zach Kirk. Those types of things.
You never seen Hook with Robin Williams?
No. When I was younger, those aren't the kind of things that I was into. That wasn't my thing, and it still isn't. Okay. And let me
Likewise,
say this.
Zach.
Let me give a little bit of insight into why I would say let me just be fully transparent and honest. Each man on this live cast, we get one topic per week. That's all we get. You get one topic. And my question was more about why would you pick this topic as your one topic when there's so many things in the world to share with our audience? And just because it's not good news to me because I don't care, it doesn't mean that I don't recognize the value of it. I also, Wayne Woods, let me say this too. I am not a fan. I've talked about this on other episodes. I don't like remakes. I don't like, let's take an old something from the past and redo it. I'm not a fan of that. I don't like when that happens because
only certain reboots.
So there's enough innovation and creativity in young people today that we need to be telling new stories. We need to be giving new young writers a chance to have the production, the financing, and the backing of Peter Pan and make their show a reality. Think about how much innovation went into Black Panther, and that was an untold brand new story. Of course, the comic books existed from Stan Lee. I've been a comic reader my whole life, but they brought it to the screen for a new generation. I don't want to see Peter Pan retail. I didn't like it when it first came out.
You don't have to see it. You don't have to see it. I know you won't see it. I'm just saying it was a win for her, and it was a win for the culture, and it was a win for women.
That's true. And I would never have attacked or said any of this on the live cast.
Right. So again,
These were private, behind-the-scenes conversations.
And I choose what I choose. Okay.
It's also
you choose to talk about politics all the time, and I choose to talk about this. It is just what it is.
I hear you. I acknowledge you, and I embrace your intellectual stretching.
So I was gonna say it's also a win for the children because children get to see this, this new edition of this classic, and like Wayne said, and that was in my notes also. Tinkerbell, like Cinderella, and like Ariel in The Little Mermaid, those are Disney classics. And for Black children to be able to see representation of Black women in those roles, I think it's very important. I think that they have to do a little work in terms of making sure that it's not always the light-skinned girl, the light-skinned pretty girl in some of these roles. I think that sometimes that can be an issue. That can be a little problematic.
Don't say light-skinned, Darius, because some people get offended about a whole.
Well, my goal is not to offend anyone, but colorism is and has always and will always be an issue in the Black community. We can ignore things, or we can make our statements. But I know that was a little light shade. I don't want to engage in that just yet, CJ, because it's important. Because some people will call this tokenism. Some people will say that Disney is pandering to Black audiences, trying to ride the Black Lives Matter movement. Some people will say that imaginary characters don't have to look like children, but research has proven that children, their self-efficacy increases as they see people who look like them accomplish goals that they may have set for themselves. And so I think it's important for Yara to walk into this role so that young Black girls can also see themselves being a major star in a Disney movie. And also Black talented actresses and actors deserve those Disney checks. Those Disney checks are not small checks. And so if she is, if she's working and she's getting a check, I'm all for that. And finally, in the Black community, we've criticized Hollywood a lot about typecasting Black actresses. And so Black actresses can only be a maid or a slave or the ghetto Black mama. And don't get me wrong, I love the ghetto black mamas, but also we can't have it both ways. We have to make sure that we also allow for black actresses to get into some of these more magical or mystical or fictional, characters or roles. And at the end of the day, if this is something that Yara wants to do, then it's a win for Yara. And I think that is important that we always support Black women, because as we can see, Black women are some of the most undervalued people in our society. So as Black men, especially, we have to make sure that we show love to our Black women when they make accomplishments like this.
Speaking of Black women, Kerry Washington just won an award for Little Fires Everywhere. She won it.
Yes, come through.
I know.
And
I know
CJ,
I don't care about that either, but Kerry Washington is a phenomenal actress.
Yes, she is.
Definitely overdue. And she killed it in Little Fires Everywhere. If no one has not seen it, so.
CJ, can I say something?
You can say whatever you want to say.
He did your topic better than you, baby.
But I do have, stop it right now. I do have one more point, though. The CEO of Disney had stated that they were going to be working towards diversifying the executive leadership roles. I'm more concerned with what that effort is looking like than I am about someone getting a role in a movie, just to be honest. Because in 2019 alone, Disney raking a whopping $69 billion. And for, I guess, is 7 of the 10 executive roles, or 7 of the people are white men, and then 3 are women. And I'm not even sure if there are Black women up there. I would have to research. I'm more concerned with making sure that there's equity at that table than I am about, having a movie with a Black girl. So I want to make sure that if it is diversity that they're saying that they're aiming for, that it starts all the way at the top with the big checks and trickles all the way down to and throughout the organization.
Can I say this? I want to say this really quick, y'all.
Yes.
I find it very funny. It humors me that a mermaid has a color, that a fairy has a color. For what all I know, they not real. But if you've seen a fairy or a mermaid, please let me know, because I will pay a lot of money to see one. So the fact that we are saying that congratulations to a Black girl is really crazy to me, because I don't care if you Indian, Black, Mexican, white, or whatever, Asian. It's a non-fictional character. That character be any nationality. But I am so happy that Disney is really and truly diversifying their movies. And I remember when they made a Black princess with their movie with Disney, that a lot of girls
Tiana,
yes,
Princess and the Frog.
And so I really hope that they have Mulan, they have all kind of characters, but unfortunately we don't have a lot of Black princesses or a lot of Black movies in Disney. So like Zach said, to Zach's point, I don't want to see remakes. Make something new. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want to see something new.
Avonda added in.
Oh, let's give them an opportunity.
Avonda said, you may have missed earlier, Avonda. That was one of the points that we talked about. And I just want to go back in, and I'm glad you commented, Nathaniel. I want to go back to this comment. Here's the thing. While I do agree with Wayne Woodson that it's an excellent point to see, it's important for representation matters. Black women, young Black girls should see themselves on screen in major productions. And it does a lot. Windows and mirrors matter. You get windows into other worlds, and you get mirrors to see yourself reflected. But I think this is something that's even more important to kind of talk about. Disney made concerted choices in the past to not include us and to not have us seen. So here we are now praising Disney for undoing the wrongs of the past, when my argument is maybe Disney too should get boycotted. Maybe Disney too owes us more than what little bit they're trying to give us, because they now know they're living in a moment when they could very well be canceled, and they need the Black dollar when we're pumping $14 trillion a year into this economy, and they're afraid of that power. I am not a fan of Disney for having shut us out and having limited us and having played up stereotypes for films. The film Song of the South is a Disney production. There's so many stereotypical things in our society that were perpetuated by Disney. Walt Disney himself being highly anti-Semitic, and racist. So my argument goes absolutely along with Avonda. It's time for us to create our own. It's time for us to support our own, and time for us to build in that direction. That is what I want to see, and that's what I would support and would say that then, CJ, I care about.
So for me, I actually applauded Disney. With Tinkerbell, I agree with Darius. This is definitely a win for Yara as well as the culture. Haley being chosen as the next Ariel for Little Mermaid. Even Disney Plus, Black is King. That was a huge move for them to endorse that, invest in that. This later on this year, they have a new movie with Pixar called Soul, which is starring Jamie Foxx, Felicia Rashad, and Angela Bassett. Even if you look into Star Wars franchise, which is now under the Disney umbrella, having a black lead actor and actresses, Lupita, and I forgot the young, the black man leading those roles in Star Wars. Even going into the Marvel universe. I don't know if movie spoiler alert, but if you saw the last Avengers, Captain America stayed where he was in decades, and he handed his leadership down to a black guy. So the next black Captain America may be a black Captain America. And also to CJ's point, Princess and the Frog, Tiana being the first black Disney princess. So I just feel like right now, maybe in the past, 5 to 8 years, if you will, that Disney has been making strides in terms of all minorities, African American, Asian, Latinos, or what have you, the Hispanic culture. I feel like we've definitely seen a acceleration in a lot of those stories being told. I also do agree with you, Zach, and us making sure that we do create our own content, that we do develop new stories, invest in new stories, and invest in those creatives to, like you just said, I do agree with both sides. But again, I feel like the way Disney has moved, considering the wrongs that they have done, per Walt Disney and how things were racist once upon a time, the fact that they have acknowledged their wrongs and are willing to actually move past them and invest and accelerate all minorities into a more mainstream role, I feel like that is the way that our government, especially the Republican Party, needs to look at it right now. It feels like the Republican Party are stuck in being the old good party, and we keeping the Constitution. And I feel like that's going to hurt them in the long run, because, you will die out. You're going to pass away eventually, and you have young leaders and new talent and new creatives coming in that think differently. I mean, I'm sorry not to make this politicized, but even if you look at the Kellyanne Conway, her daughter was going viral because she highly disagreed with her parents' standings and how they could support Donald Trump. And that's the reason why that was a part of the reason why she decided to digress out of that role, because now you are deteriorating your own family. So I feel like Disney is actually a legit, decent example of how a lot of corporations should be moving. And the fact that they have been moving in this light for a good amount of time, to my point, feels like this isn't just, okay, we're pandering. Disney been doing it. You know what I'm saying? Disney, Princess and the Frog came out when I was at FAM. What was that, like 2009, 2010, 2011? You get what I'm saying? So they've been moving in this direction for way over a decade now. So I do applaud Disney. I do.
And we do have to extend grace. And when we look at the times that we're living in, the times are very different. And so that might have been the norm back in the whenever. But as for what are you doing right now, I think is where we decide how and when we extend grace. And also, to Zach's point earlier, when we counsel people who need to be where they need to be, in the trash. So I just think that it's important to keep it balanced and leveled, and also be critical. And like you said, hold everyone accountable for the things that they put out and the ideas that they perpetuate with their art.
Have definitely come to the point in the live cast where we open the floor up to any additional topics that could not make the official list. And also to all of our viewers, if you have something that you thought we would have talked about this week that no one picked, we are opening the floor so that you guys can also have a chance to chime in. So, gentlemen, any other topics that you wanted to bring to today's table?
We talked briefly about Trump taxes, right?
It was hinted on, and it was mentioned that President Trump is very likely guilty of tax fraud and tax evasion. But does it matter? That's the real question. Does it matter that President Trump, has done these things? People, and I'm working on a post about that as well to say, what will it take for Trump supporters to not vote for Donald Trump? Because everything you can do as a human being to harm the American people, he's done. Yet and still, these people are still supporting him in the cult of Trump. It's baffling to me. It's mind-boggling. You've stolen money now from the American people. You have defrauded the government. You have upheld white supremacy. You have defended a mass murderer in Kyle Rittenhouse. You have refused to give the American people the appropriate information to save themselves during a rare global pandemic. And yet and still, his supporters are still saying Trump 2020. I don't know what else could happen. So, yes, this is factual about his taxes, but does it matter?
I feel like, Zach, I would say this. I feel like it does matter. How in the world are you going to lift taxes, erase taxes, do all this stuff, and your ass don't even pay taxes? That bothers me. Because when I went to business on my own, I have to pay unemployment tax, have to pay all these other taxes, and you telling me that your good old orange-headed butt ain't paying no taxes at all? I done spent $750 taxes within 2 months of me running my business. So yes, Zach, to your answer, to your question, it does matter. And the fact that a person do not pay taxes do not need to be a president of the United States. And I'm going to be quiet on that matter.
And also, if it didn't matter, then why would he have hidden it for this long? The fact that he has hidden this for so long and had to ultimately be forced by the state of New York to release these tax returns is indicative of the fact that it does matter. I'm not sure, like you said earlier, in terms of his henchmen, as Nancy Pelosi so eloquently put it, will they give a care, a rat's ball sack? I highly doubt it. But in terms of this being things that we've speculated for so long, you were asking for Barack's birth certificate, and you were nowhere near the White House. And it's taking you 4 years of presidency to produce your tax returns. I think that it is going to be something that he will be dragged through the mud about. I'm not sure if he'll be dragged enough through the mud to keep him out of the White House in 2020, but that's up to all of us to get up off our asses. Excuse me, Mama. I know my mom's watching this live. It'll be up to all of us to get up off our asses and make sure that we not only vote, but that we take someone with us to the polls and that we encourage someone along the way to go ahead and vote also. And if we fumble the bag on this one, y'all, it's gonna be 4 more years of this craziness. It's gonna be 4 more years. And fooling with a president like Donald Trump, he'll figure out a way to stay longer than that. So y'all think about that on your way to the polls. And as my friend Rodney continues to say, get your booties to the poll.
For me, I feel like the closer we get.
I'm sorry.
Oh, it's cool. For me, I feel like the closer we get to election day, the more intense and severe stories will come out in regards to the Trump presidency. We saw it with the Bob Woodward book when he was recorded saying that he intentionally downplayed the pandemic, and now 200,000 plus Americans have passed away and did not have to, solely on Trump's hands. Him not paying his taxes outside of $750 the past, a year ago, 2 years ago, of course, on Trump's hands. So I feel like the closer we get to election day, more and more stories. I feel like all of these, just our politicians, our media sources, other journalists have been holding and sitting on a lot of information for this very moment, in order to deter people, of course, in voting against Trump. To answer Zach's question earlier, I stand by this. I feel like his supporters are supporting the essence and the message he presents versus the character. I feel like 2020 has unveiled the pure hate that people have against minorities, against cultures that don't look like them, against things that they do not agree with for whatever reason. They again, grand old party, we want to stick to what we did on Plymouth Rock. And people are really invested in being racist. You know, they are really invested in racism. And again, I stand firm in this. People are more gun-ho on what Trump represents than Trump the character. So, you know, it's not surprising to me. I really hope that the IRS and FBI, whoever else does follow up and take him and hold him accountable to where he should be held against in the event that this is true. And yeah, that's my position on it.
Lock him up and throw away the key.
If Joe Biden wins the election, if Joe Biden is not elected as president, Donald Trump will not face charges because you can't charge a sitting president, which is why I think one of the reasons he is so desperate to win. I personally don't think that Donald J. Trump ever meant to be president. I think that he was running to build up his personal brand and to ensure a legacy for his family, as always having Republican conservatives always there to push for them. But then he won, and now he's dealing with consequences. I do think, Avonda, I don't know if you are, I don't think that you're one of my Facebook friends. But on Facebook, I did a post about Joe Biden and these racist claims and the different clips taken out of context. I just found on last week a brand new clip where Joe Biden was arguing against apartheid in South Africa. This is a problem. There are a lot of Russian involvement in this election now, as it was in 2016. And there's a lot of misinformation, fake news articles, clips that have been distorted about the 1994 crime bill. I urge you, Avonda, to do your own research. Google and read the news articles from 1992, 3, and 4 to find out that, number one, the American opinion about crime in the United States was at an all-time high. 52% of Americans felt that they were unsafe in their homes when that crime bill was passed. The majority of Black people in Black neighborhoods were saying that people like Joe Biden was ignoring them and ignoring the crime problems in their neighborhoods because they weren't doing anything about it. When Joe Biden authored the 1994 crime bill, he was writing a bill meant to help those people that were begging for help, those Black people. So when people say Joe Biden is racist and they cite things like the crime bill or cite something they've seen on Facebook that came from a Russian bot meant to suppress your vote, I can't let it go. Research. I wrote a whole entire post about it. I laid it out. I'm going to go back in time and try to tag you on it. I don't know if I can because I don't think we're friends on Facebook, and I am at the 5,000 max. If anybody is watching tonight and you are my Facebook friend and I piss you off, unfollow me, unfriend me so I can add Avonda.
I want to say this. You know, it makes me laugh when we have people come on in our comments and be like, oh, Biden is this, Kamala is this. But God damn it, we have Trump. Can we get any worse than Trump? I mean, like, I don't understand it. And it makes me laugh in my head when I feel like people like, oh, well, Biden and da-da-da. One thing I can say that me and my brother truly agree on, the Republican Party sticks the freak together. Democrats would tell you a new asshole if you even blink twice. And that bothers me. If we want Trump to get out, God damn it, vote. Because you know what? Biden has wrote his wrongs and he fixing it. And let me tell you this: your cousin selling drugs to PJC and whoever, it's wrong. When your cousin stealing, breaking somebody's house, it's wrong. So I'm not gonna sit here and be like the crime bill was wrong. Hell no, get your ass off the corner and get your ass a job. Why are you selling drugs, destroying your neighborhood? So Rodney is not going to be up here like the crime bill was horrible. I love the crime bill. Lock their ass up and hope they learn something new. I'm not going to sit here and just like I said earlier, Vince, we sit here, we try to straddle the fence. Selling drugs is wrong. Stealing is wrong. Okay? My grandfather sold drugs. And guess what? His ass went to jail. Because you right here destroying families. My grandma grew up in a neighborhood where I saw crack babies dealing with the drug epidemic. And I see men and women selling their child, selling their TVs to get a hit on crack. So guess what? I don't give a damn about your cousin. I don't give a damn about your friend who got locked up in 1994. I'm happy they got locked up. Because a lot of things that happen to kids right now who was in foster care, my cousin committed suicide because his mom was strung out on drugs. So you will not get any sympathy or empathy from me.
So lock their ass up, get over the crime bill, and get your ass to the polls. Guess what? Trump ain't no goddamn better. Trump ain't no goddamn better. Y'all get on my nerves with this, and I don't like to get like this. But y'all bother me when y'all try to sit up and try to deficit Kamala and Biden. God damn it, they the best we got. Cause anybody is better than Trump. I will vote for a salt on a snail before I vote for Trump. Period.
Wait a minute. So why did they?
I got two things.
And you wanted to know why.
Right. And that, let me tell you. So I have 2 points. Number one, I think it's important for us to criticize and to, like Zach touched on earlier, to make sure that we are actually being a part of the process and making sure that we're asking the tough questions and make sure that we are critical of some of these things that we don't necessarily agree with. It's a part of the process. Does that mean that I'm not going to vote for them because I don't agree with all their actions? Absolutely not. But I think it is important for us to leave room for people to be critical of the people who are going to represent them. And then to your point about drug dealers or criminals needing to be locked up, I was robbed at gunpoint here in Atlanta a day or two after my graduation. And when I was robbed at gunpoint, the only thing that I thought about was making sure that these people got everything that I had in order for me to walk away from that situation unscathed. But when the police came onto the scene and pulled out 7 notebooks and told me to flip through these binders filled with black men to identify the person who could have robbed me, I knew at that moment that it was about much more than a cell phone, a debit card, and some gift cards I had gotten for graduation. That was about somebody just trying to find a means to an end, trying to find a way to survive. And so it's easy to demonize people who commit crimes, but we also have to think about the systemic things that are in place that disenfranchise Black people to the point that I can't even get a legitimate job, or I can't make enough on that legitimate job in order to make an honest living. And so, yes, it is wrong for people to do those things. It is absolutely wrong, without question. But we also have to make sure that we lend ourselves to the point that everyone is not afforded the same opportunity to be successful. And I count it a privilege. I count it all joy that I've been able to be exposed to some of the things that I've been exposed to. But that is not the reality for a lot of people where I'm from. And we grew up in the same community. We rode the same school bus. We went to the same school, received the same education. But there was a disconnect in the access. And I'm appreciative for the access that I have. But at the same time, I'm not going to demonize someone for the decisions that they have had to make in order to survive. And that's not about selling crack, because I don't agree with all of that now.
No, but I want to say this. My dad's parents live in a rough neighborhood. The project is right across the damn street. Let me put that out there. And Zach is a product from Mississippi, and I'm not gonna say Mississippi is the worst place, but Zach got his goddamn doctorate, and Zach said he had dirt roads. So I do not have empathy for someone who do not try to get an education, who do not try to get better. Because guess what? You can't, unless you have a gun to your head telling you can't do nothing, then I would feel sympathy for you. But it is a way out. Being from Mississippi, it is a way out.
Rodney,
so
I'm not gonna not having a gun to your head.
People be like, it's okay. No, because guess what? When you pick up your hands to sell drugs and rob somebody, you had a motherfucking you had a choice.
But I'll just say this. I'll just say that yes, it is a choice that has been made. But when you talk about a gun, like every gun is not a physical gun. They're proverbial guns to people's head every day. I had students when I was in the classroom who had to make sure that their siblings got their homework done at night, and whose parents weren't even there to make sure they had something to eat at night. I had to make sure that we stood in the gap for these children, because these are the children who end up having to make tough decisions as early as middle school and high school to do things to simply make sure that they have what they need. And it's easy to say a child stealing an extra milk out of the cafeteria or a child that cannot read in 3rd grade is going to go to prison. But what are we going to do to make sure that we have processes in place that protect these children and make sure that the vulnerable communities that we serve have access to everything that they need to survive? My mom had a master's degree in a rural community and could not find and did not have employment for a little bit of time, and she was a single mom, but she was okay with taking part-time positions, and she was okay with doing things that allowed her to be free so that she could keep a hand on her 3 boys. And as a result of us having a parent who had her hand on her 3 boys, she was able to steer us in the right direction. Everyone is not being steered in the right direction. And a lot of times this thing starts as early as elementary school. So we have to make sure that not only we are criticizing, because like I said, we should always be critical, but we also need to be solution oriented. And the solution is not always to get up off your behind. Sometimes the solution is making sure that there are processes in place, that there are people in place, and that there are resources in place to make sure that these people have a means to succeed.
I want to say this.
I want to shockingly support some of Rodney's claims, some of it. The bottom line is this. This is why I cannot support and cannot endorse drug dealers and criminals, because unfortunately, many of them are not hurting any other community but their own. That is my issue, my concern with it. People who sell, Black people who may choose to sell drugs are often, unfortunately, selling to the Black community, and they're causing more problems and more issues in their own community. And that's why.
Do you think that white people are not strung out on drugs?
You know that's not what I'm saying.
Okay, I was trying to make sure.
You know me well enough to know that is not what I'm saying at all. The point that I'm making in my support of what Rodney is saying is that the bottom line is we absolutely cannot condone the illegal selling of drugs, regardless of the circumstances. My mother has worked in a factory for over 35 years. My grandmother works in that factory, and my aunt works in that factory with my mother today. You make some choices. You make some hard sacrifices, and you do those things in accordance with the law. And if you don't like that law, you work hard to change that law. That is the only way society can be upheld. I cannot say in any way that I support any illegal activity, regardless of your reasons. There's reasons that people sell drugs. There are reasons that people choose to do that and make more money than the people that are choosing to go a lawful path. And as a result, when you make those choices, you have to deal with those consequences. I think that Bella says time to log off. Bella says it's time to log off. We've been on too long, and I am inclined to agree.
But let me be clear really quickly. Let me be clear. I never said that I support drug dealers. I said that I will not demonize people who have made tough decisions based on what they have been dealt. And I said that we have to make sure that we put support measures in place to ensure that people don't have to make these bad decisions. I don't support it, but I do.
When it becomes legal, you can sell all the drugs you want to. The focus is on changing the laws. If you want to sell drugs, focus on changing laws. There was a time in history when OnlyFans would not have been allowed and would have been looked down on. Now people are doing more to defend OnlyFans than they are doing to defend Kamala Harris. So it's a brand new day and a brand new age. Thank you to everyone. Yes, Rodney.
I just want to say this, Zach. I want to say thank you for understanding where I was coming from. And again, I want to make sure that people understand this, because this really hits home for me. I knew a girl who I went to school with, whose mother was on drugs. Her mother was going to sell her to a whole nother person for a hit of crack. Okay. And again, I want to reiterate that my cousin murdered himself for going to foster care because his mother was on drugs. So I'm not going to sit here and make excuses. I cannot. I can't, because I live the reality and I've seen what drugs can do to people. Now, it's unfortunate in the Black community that we don't have a lot of positive influences. But guess what? You need to vote in people that care. It's a Black person in the seat right now in Gulf, Mississippi that has not done nothing for Black people, but they vote their ass in every time they get an election. Just like Vince and Zach said, learn and know who you're voting for, and just don't vote for a seat filler and just because they're Black. Know who you're voting for and know what they stand for. If you want change, be the change you want to damn see. Like Zach said, it's common sense. Anybody can run for office.
change the what's on your Facebook and YouTube Live. It has been a pleasure that you could join us. Thank you to everyone who joined in. We look forward to having you support us and come and see us on next week. Thank you guys so much and have an awesome rest of the week.
Wait, did you sign out?
No,
we got to thank Darius for being our special guest co-host. We got to thank Darius. Thank you so much for coming out. Guys, continue
I enjoy you all
him
tonight.
and follow him. You were phenomenal. Thank you. And also, ladies and gentlemen, please make sure that you share and repost these videos. Know that it is greatly appreciated. And also, if you are not already, follow us on Instagram at 5 Guys on Live. And Zach, will we be on tomorrow? Is something going on tomorrow? Because Trump and Biden, that's the first debate. What's going on tomorrow?
So it will not. Yes. So I'm going live on my page as well as with 3+1. It's a small panel of people that will talk about after the debate. In addition to that, we are going to also be. I'm going to be live commenting on the debate point by point. So I know some of you can't. If you are my Facebook friend, you can follow me and see my actual feed. But if you're not my Facebook friend, then you can see what I'm commenting in the 3+1 page, 3+1 page.
I'll be on.
And I'm glad that you could join us, Vera. I can see that, Mama Vera, your son made you proud and he made all of us proud. He was a great contribution to the work. Love you, Mitch. Love you so much. So, all right, guys, we'll see you next week.